episode 750.
750. This feels like another milestone episode.
Yeah, it should be like Roman numerals, it feels like. That's how important it is.
What would that even be? I don't even know what that would look like.
Well,
Probably some
100 is a C.
Okay.
I know that.
So do you have to get like 7 of those?
There's
guys?
no way. There must be a 500
There
one.
is. And then like, we don't know anything, basically.
We don't
750 episodes in and we know nothing.
But we don't talk about the Roman Empire, so how would we know about their numerals?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's totally true. That's
but we have to show them that one of our listeners, Kara McSweeney, the amazing zookeeper, sent to us, if you're watching the video, this gorgeous cake. Congrats on 750 episodes with our little brain candy
cake
logo. Yep. And
I always like to imagine the cake makers as they're doing it.
I met him. He came to my house and delivered.
Does he seem like a brainiac? A convert?
Well, he is gay, which it means yes.
Yes.
And he owns a bakery called Evanly Bakes. Get it?
Oh, and it's a pun.
Yes.
Please. He's absolutely a brainiac.
And he was on reality TV. I know.
That's the trifecta.
Soulmates.
Sweet treats.
Yeah, it was I can't remember the name, but it was some chocolate, competition for a Canadian network.
Well, if that makes it even better.
Yeah. And I was like, how'd you do? He's like, I was a finalist, but then I got sabotaged.
Oh,
I love it because I get it.
I do too.
I know the feeling.
That's right.
But I can't wait to dig in. And Kara also sent sweet treats for you, which are en route to Denver.
I cannot wait. I'm going to chow down.
I mean, what a treat.
What a treat.
A sweet treat. Brain
to celebrate
cake today.
Episode
750. And just getting started if I have anything to say about it.
I totally agree. I mean,
I'm just hitting my stride.
Always new things to learn. And just when I think we've learned it all, I binge watch Animal Planet, and next thing you know,
For real.
I have 500 new stories to share with you.
Why? Because you do love an animal fact.
I love an animal fact, and it feels like... So, okay, I'm watching this great show, first of all. I'll start here. I'm watching this great show called Physical on Apple TV. It's so good. It's about that, like, jazzercise, aerobic,
I love it.
like,
Jane Fonda
workout. Like,
era.
yes, that era. And it is all about this woman's, like, inner dialogue. And, like, how you hear
I've heard
what
about
goes
this.
on, inside of her head. But now, why is I connecting this to Animal Planet and I don't remember?
That I cannot even imagine.
There was a whole point to this.
Well, because you were saying you learn animal facts and you were watching Animal Planet.
And
then we went right into Jane Fonda.
Wow.
Have you
I was
gotten
like,
your
first of all,
medicine
we
yet?
have to start here. Like, this is where we have to start. And turns out we didn't need to start.
Well, we can circle back to that. I mean,
probably
let me have a bite of cake. Maybe it'll come to you.
Yeah. Have a bite of cake. Maybe it'll come.
Evan.
It was...
Whoa, that's good.
Oh, my gosh. Is it Evan in your mouth?
Good one.
You like that, too.
He would like that.
He will.
He was a doll. I loved him.
So...
That is outrageously good.
I can't remember what I meant, how this was connected to it.
All right.
I don't know at all.
Move on, Sarah.
Something that I'm interested in, something that sparks our interest. Who fucking knows? I don't know.
I know that Sarah got Lincoln subscription to National Geographic Kids.
Yeah. Has it freaking finally showed up? Those things show up like 4 months after you order them. I remember this from having subscriptions, and I'm like, is he ever going to get it? I don't know.
He's on his second
good
issue, and I swear I love it more. I'm like, can you believe, like, these animal facts are crazy? Like, I'm just saying what I imagine you are feeling when you watch Animal Planet, because this is a wild world we're living in.
Absolutely. Oh, Yes. Okay. Full circle. You did.
Back.
Okay. So as I'm watching this show that takes place in like the 80s, and they're talking about fitness stuff. So she's like this fitness, person, brand that is going to link up with a low-fat food company. And this is like the 80s when they thought they knew about things.
Snack
but they didn't know
and all that jazz.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, we've done the research. These cookies are fat-free. And science says if there's no fat in it, that means no fat on you. And so you can eat as much as you want. Things that and they say in the show, well, it's science. Science says, and it's so obvious, or what they're trying to convey in that is that look at how certain we were about what the science said then and how absolutely false we know that to be now, and how and so to link it back to the animals. Yeah. That's why I love these stories so much, because things that we think we know, we're like, oh, ostriches definitely stick their head in sand because I saw it on Disney. Turns out never done that in the history of ostriches because we never bothered to look. So we look at these things and we study them, and it's like these things where we have these like fixed ideas on how things should be or how things work just because that's how it's been. We're pushing back. By we, I mean the same we that is like we who win the football game for our town. No, like other scientists who are doing the research. They are like learning all these things that are changing what we know about everything. And I love it. And it's so much with animals that I'm fascinated by. I just started watching that show Predators on Netflix. Each episode is like tracks a different predator. And the first one that I watched was on cheetahs. There's so much stuff I didn't know.
So it was it's
okay, first of all, not the fastest land animal. A hare wins that. A bunny rabbit. Yes.
I don't think that's true.
It's at certain lengths that the distance matters. So like which is the fastest over a short
What's
distance.
The answer? The hare?
The hare is faster. Okay. And so in the video where I was like, wait a sec.
What is it, like 2 feet?
The cheetah catches the hare and the narrator goes, looks like the cheetah managed to catch the fastest land animal. And I was like, we're just going to we're just going to say it like that. Like everybody watching is like, wait, the cheetah is the fastest land animal, isn't it? And you're just like not going to explain the rest. So then I got to Google it. And then of course, then you learn the hare is, and it's over certain distances.
But how many? Like 5 feet? Like, come on. I think we're giving the hare too much credit there.
No, it's pretty.
That's clickbait.
Yeah, a little, but it did the trick. I mean, I looked it up. I learned about cheetahs.
I hear what you mean, though, because we don't think about, like, because the thing I always reference about how you said we can outrun horses. We can outrun
a horse. Right. Yeah. And everybody's like, Sarah, you're a dummy. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
As long as you just keep running forever.
You keep running. They can't do it.
What is the distance? Like 5? I think it's 5 miles?
Something. It's. I want to say it's like 20 miles. I think it's up in the, like, teens. I do. Like up, like high, like 20. I do.
I love you so much.
Why? I've said nothing. Is it because I said 20 and I said it's in the teens and I was like not 20?
Yeah. But
like, also I mean close. Like you know what I mean. We're rounding up. Yeah. Like
but just also like you were hesitant.
Right.
You're like but also certain.
But like yeah.
It's so great. Like, nobody else is like you.
This is a total aside, but I heard this, and I wish I knew the comedian who said this, but my new favorite joke that ever was.
Of all time. Wow.
I keep thinking of it. He goes, he's talking about numbers. He goes, my favorite number is umpteen. You think it's a lot, but it's actually in the teens. That's the funniest joke ever.
Ever of all time in the history of comedy.
You think it's a lie? Let me tell you.
It's so true, though. That is true.
I am waiting for somebody to use the word umpteen in real life. I am going to throw down that joke so fast, and when I do, I'll probably actually explode from enthusiasm. And I'll be like, ah! And then I won't know what to do. I'm like, this is my moment. And then people will look at me.
I feel bad for that person.
Yes, I do too. I actually...
Because the worst part about it is you really only use the word umpteenth if you're mad at somebody. Like, I've told you for the umpteenth time. And then you're going to like come in with this zinger.
Yes.
And they're going to be so mad.
Funny thing about umpteen, you think it's a lot, but it's actually the teens.
That is so true, though. Because it does seem like an infinite number.
Chef's kiss. It's this British comedian who is on Netflix who did like a show in 4 acts, and he has some of the funniest. It's so British, and it's so. You either will absolutely think it's the funniest thing you've ever seen, or you're going to be like, what is this?
And I think that this is sort of a test run right now.
This is what?
Sort of a test run, whether they would like it.
Correct.
I'll tell you what I like. Oh, God. I like mosh bars. Oh, I cannot wait to talk about this. This is like my dream come true.
First of all.
Okay.
Who gave them permission to make something that is a protein bar taste like a candy bar? So dang delicious.
It's unreal.
Was I right? Because I got them before you.
Sarah
and then I was
got them
like,
first.
Susie, I ate 3 in one day.
Yeah. Mosh bars are our way to go. They have 12 grams of protein. But here's why I'm excited.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how I feel about the Schwarzeneggers.
Yeah, I do.
Mosh bars were created by Patrick Schwarzenegger and Maria Shriver. And
I didn't even know.
Yes, and here's the best part. So, if you're not familiar, Maria Shriver is in the Kennedy family. Mm-hmm. Her mother, Eunice Kennedy, is obviously from the famed family. Mm-hmm. And her dad, Sarge, that's what he goes by, he suffered with Alzheimer's. And so they have decided they wanted to make Mosh a mission-driven brain health and wellness company that donates a portion of all the proceeds to support women's brain research through Women's Alzheimer Movement at Cleveland Clinic. How cool is that?
I love this. And it is so important to do women's-based research in this because they don't study women's brains like this. It is so crucial. Tastes good and doing good. Stop
How cool is that? I'm in love.
Very good.
It could have tasted like garbage. I would have been excited. I don't care.
Same.
But it happens to be delicious.
Look, I find that out after. That's better.
Okay. Don't settle for a mediocre snack when you can nourish your body and mind with the fuel it needs to succeed. So whether you're at the gym, on the go, or just living your best life, Mosh protein bars will keep your brain and body fit, fueled, and feeling good. Head to moshlife.com/braincandy to save 20% off plus free shipping on your first 6-count trial pack. That's 20% off plus free shipping on your first 6-count trial pack, which includes all 6 mouth-watering flavors. moshlife.com/braincandy. And I should say, before we kind of get really into the thick of things, I know that you people like a warning. Later in the episode, I will be interviewing author J. Reuben Appelman of While Idaho Slept, The Hunt for Answers in the Murders of 4 College Students.
Murder story!
It is so interesting. I followed that case, and I was so interested in reading it because I felt like I was missing something, and it filled in those gaps because I was like, what is this? Because there's a suspect or whatever that's going on trial for the murders. And I just
right now?
They haven't put him on trial yet even.
I love that when a book lines up with where it's like still happening in real life and you feel like you're in the book.
Well, because we had some brainiacs who said, when I said, what do you want me to ask him? They said, like, why is it already out? Like, we don't even know if he's convicted or whatever. And so I asked him that, because I wanted to know, like, did you feel like it was too soon? Because we don't know if he's guilty or not guilty. But he explained his reasoning, and I loved it because, as you know, I'm always interested in the psychology of these people who seem or maybe are sociopathic. And this was very nuanced, and you never get that. I'm so annoyed with true crime because it's always like, his mom was the worst, or whatever.
I feel the same, where they're like, well, abused in childhood, that's... Yeah. Like, so were all of us. Like, I'm not murdering people.
Right.
Like, that's how I feel. I'm like, don't give me that as an explanation.
Right. That's how I felt, where I was just like, oh,
everybody
okay,
I know.
this is helpful to me. And it like days later, you're still thinking about it. So that's what I loved. Anyway, that's coming up later. So brace yourselves.
All right. Well, I hope my fun animal stories will be enough to
No, I think it will.
satisfy you until then. Okay. Let's learn about some cheetahs, shall we?
Let's.
I did not know this, but cheetahs, cheetahs fuck. Like, we already knew that about animals, but how about this? One litter of cheetahs can have multiple fathers.
No.
Yes! Isn't that a crazy animal fact?
Yeah.
One litter. Okay, so here's why. Cheetahs are very territorial, and they also are very, communal. They'll often travel in packs, just two of them, a pair together, and they take over these big areas and big zones. And oftentimes the pair that will travel will be brothers. So it'll be they went over.
I know
these
type.
Two brothers are we can't have anything come, and there's so few cheetahs out there. It'll be these two brothers running into one female for hundreds of miles. So if the female were to choose just one of them to mate with, it would create a rift between the...
Oh, for Pete's sake. She has to keep the peace?
Yes! So
my God.
So cheetahs are designed to be able to have selective sperm and also get impregnated by multiple fathers in one litter.
That is insane.
What? That seems... Not even. It says the sperm from different males competes to fertilize the egg, resulting in multiple fathers for a litter. Cheetahs have a unique reproductive system that allows for delayed implantation, enabling simultaneous development of different embryos from different fathers.
Whoa. I'm very glad we are not in that category.
Okay, I'm glad you said that, because that made me think, how come we're not?
I mean, I think the better question is, how come they are?
Now I'm going to sound like a dummy. Do I sound like a dummy when I say that?
What? What's your question? You really only have one egg cooking in there at a time, usually.
And so it's not when you have dizygotic twins, that's two sperm implanted two embryos.
I thought it was just,
and then dizygotic is one sperm implanted one egg, and then that separated, and they're identical. That's two separate, that's one cell that splits into two.
Okay.
But then you have the dizygotic, which is two different sperm and two different eggs, but they're at the same time. Two fertilized eggs at the same time. But we can only have two fertilized eggs from from a single partner. Is that just because as soon as your body says it's pregnant, it's just nope, we're pregnant, no more? And a cheetah's well, we're pregnant, but also maybe more.
Well, because there's... Oh, wait. So,
right.
I know. This is very confusing.
I know I can see the wheels turning, thinking the same thing I thought. We're wait a sec. If there's a... Right.
Because if triplets, for example, they could all be different or identical. Three identical strangers, for example.
I know. I don't know.
Okay.
I have no idea how this works.
Well, I do know that I don't think you can be impregnated by two people at the same time.
I don't think so either.
Except
you definitely can't.
My gays that have two men gays that I'm friends with, they have twins. And this was all, sci-fi, right? I mean, this wasn't they were banging somebody. But they had twins with the same woman.
Yes.
But each of them are the biological father of one of the twins.
And those are not fraternal twins. They are fraternal twins.
They are not
two different sperm. So you have two eggs being implanted in one woman
with two different sperm.
DNA, but two different eggs, two different sperm growing simultaneously, growing in the same
you're right.
uterus, but different.
Well,
so we can do this. But
I don't think
science,
we can naturally so much.
Right.
Although.
I know. These are the things I wonder. Where I'm like, we're going to have to talk about this. Because once again, in the show, they just like dropped that little factoid.
Right,
and then skipped on to the next animal.
These like fraternal twin moms are like, nope, they're just fraternal. Nothing to see here.
Right.
Not two different sperms.
Right. Don't, no, 23andMe. Don't do it. You know?
So crazy.
So I thought that was really wild. And there's an article in ScienceDaily.com that I will put in the newsletter that talks all about this. And, you know, it's just really interesting that there aren't that many species that can do that.
Yeah, and it seems like a bad idea. You know what I mean?
It kind of does. And
like,
then
it doesn't seem like something we should all be hoping for.
Yeah. The other thing I thought was odd is that there was a pack of cheetahs that were together that they were definitely starving, and one of them ended up dying, but they didn't eat him.
Oh.
Doesn't that seem strange?
Yeah, you would think they would.
You would think that they would. They just left him. And it really was sad because the mom like turned around and she was like, oh, where'd he go? And then they or they made it look like that. But I was like, oh.
I hate when they do that.
And then they like show his like his like body. And I'm like, don't you think if they were starving, you'd be like, don't chow down on what, like, okay for the Dahmer family or Donner, not Dahmer.
Here we go.
Oh God, here we go. Donner family.
Dahmer.
No,
Dahmer.
Donner.
Jeffrey.
No, family, the Oregon Trail, Donner.
Oh, I
cross
think
ate each
Jeffrey
other.
Dahmer.
Well, don't you think that that's a weird coincidence? Now that we say it out loud, Donner family and Dahmer.
I don't know the Donner family.
Susie, you don't know about the Donner family.
Oh, now I'm the dummy.
No, I'm not. I'm just saying that they didn't keep. I think this was a Christian school problem because they probably left out the part about cannibalism in your education. This is a family that crossed over the Rocky Mountains.
Young?
I'm talking a whole group of people ate multiple people, and it was like a whole thing. This is like a big part of history.
Who died? Big part. Like
I'm not kidding. This was in the Western expansion. Like they talk about what? I know I'm not the only one who thinks it's crazy that Susie doesn't know about this.
It's not. I agree. You're probably right, but when you say it's a big part of history, it sounds like, like Confederacy and stuff.
No, it feels like, how in school there were like the top 5 greatest hits. It's like we're learning about missions. Maybe it was just California because we did a mission project in 5th grade.
What's that even mean?
Oh my God, this is a California thing.
What's
in California?
Missions?
So in California, there is every single student in California in 5th grade has to do what they call the mission project, where you pick a mission, and I mean mission like where a missionary set up shop. Basically, it's like celebrate colonization in California is what we're doing, and it's like so. There's the I think it's called the Mission Trail or something. There's a road, like it's like Highway 101 or something, essentially, that goes up the coast, like from Mexico up the West Coast. And there were the missionaries settled in these different areas and built missions. And there are famous missions that are all, now I've said it so much, it sounds like a fake thing that I've just made up. We're there, just so you know. It's such a big project that you could go online and I guarantee there are kits. There are kits available of like, you build your mission, and you have to build a mission out of like foam core when you're a fucking 5th grader in California, and then you have to present on the mission. I chose San Juan Capistrano, where they had all the swallows, and then you have to like.
Insane.
This is a real. I'm telling you, everybody in California is like, I don't know why she thinks it's crazy. I really, and then when I talked through it, I was like, I don't think this is the thing.
Time out. Let's talk about something I love. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. Hatch Restore 2. Okay, so here's my routine in the morning.
Yeah.
I get up at like 5:30 or 5:45 to do my workout, and then I come back and start getting ready and whatever. And so I would come back and wake up the family, right? And like, it was a battle every day. My family hated me. It was like Pavlovian, where like I became the symbol.
You are the wake up alarm. Yes, I get it.
Of
them having
pain.
to wake up. Yes.
And we would get into fights because my kid wouldn't get out of bed. And my husband, frankly, is reluctant also. He's not a morning person. And so I was sick of it. And so we got a Hatch Restore 2. And it is this device that sits in our room and it illuminates at whatever time I want it to.
It's the best. This is something that I have been recommending to clients before it was even a sponsor of the show.
That's so great. I didn't know that.
Everybody at my clinic, the therapists, not like the therapists, we all use these already because we know the importance of sleep and sleep hygiene. And the other day I was hanging out in a group and there was a gal who had, and in her defense, she's like an ER doctor, so she needs an alarm like this. But she had one of those alarms that was like,
it's so violent.
And I was like, oh my God. I was like, as a mental health professional, you need to change your alarm right now. And she was like, then explain to me why. And I'm like, okay, free pass.
But I hate the violence of it.
I was like, I need to be woken up in the most gentle way. Yeah. I need the lighting to be right. I need to go to bed with some special, like custom sleep sounds. I need it to be like not just bright light all at once. I want it slow, like wake up with the sun.
It's gentle.
Gentle. If I do not get and I think your husband and your son are similar to me in this way.
I think so. In every way.
Yes, in every way. If we do not get a gentle wake up,
things don't go well.
No, we're like operating in like fight or flight through the rest of the day. It's not good. I need this.
Yeah, and it creates like it simulates a sunrise is what it does.
Yes.
And then eventually if they don't get their buns out of bed, after a half hour it starts singing like this gentle song. Mm-hmm. But you can pick like whatever you want. It can
I go sound bowl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can do a sound bowl. There's all these different options.
It feels like it starts slow and then it gets more intense, and it just feels calming and energizing to me. I love it.
And then they have like the sleep options, which are like white noise, pink noise, brown noise, or freaking ocean waves.
Yes, laundry in the dryer.
Mechanical, yeah.
I love that noise.
Right, a lot of people do. And everyone has to find
what
what they love because sleep is so important. Right now, Hatch is offering our listeners $20 off your purchase of a Hatch Restore 2 and free shipping at hatch.co/braincandy. Sleep deeply and wake gently with Restore 2. Go to hatch.co/braincandy to get $20 off and free shipping. That's hatch.co/braincandy.
So that was one of like the core curriculum. So was the Oregon Trail and learning about the Donner Party. It was like all about that Western expansion, and they crossed over the Rockies, and it got super cold. They starved, and there's journal entries of how they resorted to cannibalism. And so
it's like a mom and a dad and some kids.
Like I think it's a big group.
An extended family.
Extended family. And multiple people had to resort to cannibalism, and a few of them did survive, but off of eating each other.
Oh, right. Would you do that? I'm talking your kids. I'm not talking my brother. I would eat him.
Here's the thing. I say no, but starvation does really wild shit to the brain. There is nothing, and we've talked about this with the show alone, like there is nothing that comes close to what starvation does in making a person go mad. Sleep deprivation, I guess, is the only thing. Sleep deprivation and starvation. They will make you crazy.
The madness of hunger.
Yes. That instinct to survive becomes more important than anything else, which is why I think it's crazy that the cheetahs didn't eat their brother. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It must be not tasty.
Well,
you know how sharks don't really want humans? Like it's like they don't want to eat us. We taste disgusting.
We don't taste good?
Well, and in that book I read, The Theory of Everything Else, that was sort of one of the chapters was about how like other animals find us really stinky.
Like smelly.
Yeah, like they make the
That
face,
makes
like they
sense.
grimace, like, ooh, they
That
stink.
makes sense. Oh.
Like we are with sardines or something, you know?
Like we do
we'll eat
smell
it if we
a
have
lot.
to. Yes.
Right. Like we are very pungent things.
Right. So maybe cheetahs taste like dog poop.
Right, to other cheetahs. And I heard that only a certain percentage of humans can actually consume human flesh without getting sick.
How sick?
Like ill, like you're going to throw up.
Yeah.
Like you'll get nauseous and your body will reject it kind of thing. That it's only like 25 to 30% who can actually process whatever is in there.
Who are those people?
I don't know.
I mean,
I didn't Google this, but maybe I will afterwards.
that's crazy, though. I
Yeah.
agree with you. That's suspicious behavior. Because if you would think in the wild, where
Right.
it's all about food acquisition.
Right. We talk about maybe that's like the reptilian brain. That is the divide between mammals and reptilian. Maybe it's an evolution of the brain. And certain
So they're
different,
like,
because they're pack
civilized.
animals, or they're like, because when you expand to maybe a communal, like,
yeah, they work as a team.
yeah, then you can't do that kind of stuff because it comes with too many consequences of like, well, what if this person just decides to eat me, right?
Yeah,
You
right.
know?
Okay, yeah, that makes
okay,
sense.
look at
we made
us.
progress.
We did.
Yeah. Good work.
Good work there.
What else did you learn?
Okay. Let's switch it up a little bit and talk about nature and science intersecting in maybe a very dangerous way. So AI is starting to do a lot of stuff for people, including write books. And we've seen this, and a lot of authors.
Stupid.
It is stupid, and I like what the authors are saying. Stephen King and Agatha Christie, who are like, how it's so fucked up that these algorithms are basic, because theirs is the work that's all over the place and super accessible. So the books that AI is writing, it sound like Stephen King or Agatha Christie, basically the ones that are everywhere and the ones that
they
are
used without paying for it.
Correct.
Right. This is the laws that make me crazy, like antitrust laws and stuff like that, where
Yes.
they just break them knowing that it's totally unethical. And then it's too late. Even if you find them or whatever, they got what they wanted.
Right. Well, maybe the thing that AI is coming up with and selling right now will be the thing that ultimately makes us shut it down. So AI is being used to write plant field guides and plant field guides for what plants are edible and what things you should forage in the area. So there was this work that came out, The Forager's Harvest Bible, the ultimate guide to wild food and edible plant foraging, identification, and harvesting. In the headshot, the author, Hector Lawson, smiles sternly but gently. The biography says that he was raised amidst nature on the outskirts of a bustling city, though it doesn't say where. It doesn't say any of his other publications or his professional background or his education. Well, guess what? His whole bio and who he is it's fake.
That's insane.
So AI is developing foraging books saying what you should and shouldn't eat.
Oh, no.
And it's not true. And they're not accurate. And they're not up to date. And they don't take into consideration changes in environment or in different regions or there's this new mushroom that is sweeping across the western, area. And it's very invasive and very toxic and a big problem. And this manual wouldn't know about that. Because it's using old...
things change.
Things change and nobody's reading this first. So we might have people who go out and pick up the Forager's Harvest Bible. That sounds very trustworthy.
It does.
And
That's
it's
probably
got
why
this
they
guy,
chose
Hector
those
Lawson.
words.
That sounds like the name of a foraging expert. He's got his picture on there.
Oh, my God.
And you
it's
think I'm going to trust... And it's not even real. So what happens when somebody dies... because they've ingested something that that AI published and put out there? Who's responsible for that? Somebody is. Somebody is responsible if that person dies.
Yeah, who clicked go or whatever.
Is it And it's a book that's out on Amazon. So is it Amazon for like, who's doing it?
Yeah, right.
This is a problem.
Sarah's looking at me like I know.
No, I'm like, no, Susie, who does it?
Who?
Like, yeah.
It's a whodunit, like Agatha Christie would love.
Right.
I'll tell you what I love, and that is, well, you know how we love Rocket Money, okay?
Yes.
But Rocket Money has a really cool new Rocket Visa signature card. And here's what's cool. It is the first credit card designed for home ownership. I don't know if you heard, but it's really freaking hard to get a home these days.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, the cards are stacked against you, my friends.
Correct.
So, Rocket Visa card allows you to earn rewards on your purchases. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
And then, so you're dining out, you're traveling, whatever, and then you can redeem your rewards for 5% cash back towards closing costs and down payment when you buy a home with Rocket Mortgage. The Rocket people are doing awesome things, and I'm super excited about it.
They're all about helping you, like,
sort it out.
Yes.
Well, because we use the Rocket Money app to budget and get our bills lower. And so now they're doing some really cool stuff. So once you purchase a home, you earn 2% cash back towards your Rocket Mortgage balance. So like you're buying your normal stuff, and then it's going towards helping you pay for a mortgage. I say fabulous. Apply for the Rocket Visa card today at rocketcard.com/braincandy and get up to 5% cash back on every purchase toward a new loan with Rocket Mortgage. rocketcard.com/braincandy for up to 5% cash back towards your new home from Rocket Mortgage when you're approved. rocketcard.com/braincandy. All Rocket Visa signature cards are powered by Deserve and issued by Celtic Bank, a Utah chartered industrial bank, member FDIC. Terms and conditions apply. Visit www.rocketcard.com to learn more.
I can't wait.
Pretty cool.
One day I can buy a house.
That's what I was thinking about. I'm sure it's not far away, though.
I don't know.
You feel like it is?
Yeah, it's crazy. The housing market is just so crazy. It's just
that's
so
true.
like and what you get and I don't know.
I'm mad about it.
It's really terrible, and I hate everything about. Like, it's kind of like what we talked about with that Airbnb situation. How these, like, I hated when I was looking for places to rent. And I was also maybe I could buy something. And so I found a place that I could maybe buy, and I went and looked at that. And then there were 75 other offers on it. It was insane. And they were asking all cash. It was like 30,000+ over asking, like insane. No, what are they called? Like, there's no inspection. Like, you can't even, it's just like, you have it if you want it, and then it's yours. Buyer beware kind of thing. Good luck. Yeah. And Colorado is a buyer beware state, so you don't even have to disclose anything when you do it. So I'm not doing that shit. And then the place that I went to go look at to buy, when I was like, buying is out of my price range. I can't do that. I'm just going to stick to renting for now. The same place was available the next month to rent for double what the mortgage was, because these big property management companies come in, buy it for all cash, and then rent it out. So 1 in fucking 3 homes in the neighborhood are rented and owned by these big mortgage. It needs to stop. It's the worst thing. It is.
It's very frustrating.
It's really frustrating. It's like, what do you do? I don't even know. How do you be a person? Like,
right.
I looked at like what like my mom bought our house for when we were growing up. I'm like,
that's the thing. Like, these boomers, when they're like,
buy that now, but
nobody likes. Like, do you ever hear it? Like, boomers and like older people like to say like nobody wants to work anymore, but it's not that. It's that
working for nothing. You
realize that work doesn't get what it used to.
Right.
It used to be that like if you did this, this, and this, it was like an equation. Then you could get this. But they're very aware of like the growing disparity between the richest and the poorest among us. And they're like, you know what? I'm just going to sit.
Yeah. And meanwhile, we got these idiots like selling fake books on Amazon. Like AI wrote it, making money off of this.
The poor authors are like, wait.
It's terrible. Like, what are we even supposed to do? The conclusion of this article that I read about this was, whenever you're buying a book, make sure that you Google the author and make sure that they're credible author. So now, remember how you used to just say,
check.
Right? Remember how you used to just say, if it's in a book, like, go to the library and find the information, because if it's in the book, like,
now you have to make sure they're not a robot.
Correct.
Okay,
now, right.
Cool,
and now I'm like, oh, wait, I have to also make sure that the person who wrote the book isn't a robot? I don't have that kind of time.
Come on.
And then the books that are being written by people are being banned by the same woman who's getting fucking felt up in a Beetlejuice play.
Oh, my God.
Tell me you saw that.
I sure did.
Dude.
Just remember, night vision, people.
Just remember, if you get implants, massage them a lot, or else they will be stiff and they will look really fake and phony. I don't know if that's what she was going for, but those things, she needed to massage them more.
Oh, my God.
Did you see that video? I just fully massaged my breast the whole time I just had that conversation.
I sure did. Yeah, it was wild.
Like, her boobies were like, they didn't move.
Mm-hmm. It was a whole scene.
It was like massaging a stone statue.
Yeah. Wait, I forgot to talk to you about how, we're always talking about like art that's been defaced.
Oh.
Did you see that guy climbing that statue?
What a dummy. What a dummy. Like, he got... I saw that and I was like, we're definitely going to have to talk about this in the podcast. I know this is like now become one of our themes. Like, we talk about this stuff. Can we start finding people? Can we actually start like jail? Like, I don't think that you should... The punishments don't fit the crime is what I'm saying. Like... Get caught with a little bit of weed and go to jail, break off the arm of a priceless artifact. Excuse me, I just burped too.
Remember how
break off the arm of a priceless artifact and you get a little slap on the wrist? I don't think so.
It used to be debtor's prison. I feel like there should be a defacer's prison.
Yes, there should be.
Special
there should be. And you know what you have to do? You have to write in graffiti with a little pen, I will not deface property, over the whole wall until you cover the whole wall, and then they paint over it and you start all over or something.
The video that I saw, the guy climbs his statue and he's like holding on to the arm of the statue and then it breaks off. I didn't see after that. Like, did you see anything after that? Like, what is his reaction? Is he trying to like put it back on? You know what I mean?
God. Oh my God.
Did it shatter?
So Eli's an interior designer, as you know, and he goes and transforms these homes and spaces and is so creative and does such amazing work. And then you hire a photographer to come in and shoot the whole thing. And one of the things that Eli will admittedly say is not like his forte is styling. So he has me come in, and I love this more than anything in the whole world.
That is for sure.
So
it's like unbelievable. You go into like this weird zombie mode.
I do. And
I've seen it and I love it. I just don't have that gift.
It is the only place where this is a skill that is appreciated. Mm-hmm. And I know I said to the photographer, because like he and I were like on the same, or I'm like, what if I moved it like half an inch like that? And he's like, yeah, that's perfect. I'm like, see, this is how I know that there is a right answer and there's a right and a wrong, right. because
I watched the video of you doing it.
I didn't even know. And I was like, hey, did you see?
I said to Adam, did you see the video Sarah was like styling? And I did like an impression of what it looks like to me. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so this is like, imagine this water bottle, and then you're like,
yes, that is it. And
it's like a half an inch.
Yeah, and
less.
there's a difference. And
then Adam's like, yeah, like for him that makes sense. Correct. I'm like, I don't get it.
See, you either know it or you don't know. Like that's it. There's one or two. It's either you're a crazy person or you're not. And once again, no idea what this was talking.
I'm sorry, the guy that broke the statue.
I was doing this, thank you. As I was styling this house, I told now the homeowner has super cool artsy, has all of these amazing art pieces in the house where I'm like, everything is expensive. I know they had Fabergé shot glasses.
Oh, that's insane.
That's what we're talking.
That shouldn't even be a thing.
And I'm like, I know that everything I touch, I have to be so delicate with and so careful. It's all art projects. I was arranging this one area, and they had this cool gold sculpture of a middle finger, like giving
that is fun.
Super cool. Just a hand, like a cut off hand with a finger. Like, cool. Who doesn't want that? I knock it over. Middle finger breaks off. And this was no joke. 10 minutes after I told him, like, he was like, this is really fragile. Really this is really fragile. And I said, listen, my goal for today is to not break anything. Every single 10 minutes after I announce how I'm not going to break anything, I do that. And my reaction was, I was like, I broke something. That was what I said. I broke something. Thank God. He goes, oh, was it the finger, the hand with the finger? That's been broken a million times. It was super glued. Okay. It's already been broken. God. They were like, you're not the first person who's done. Thank fucking God. But that feeling that I had, that moment of watching it in slow motion fall on the floor, and then one piece becoming two, and then you take the piece and you try to stick it back, like, that's gonna work. Why we all do that with anything we've ever broken is... It to me, it's the same as when you thought it was a good idea to take your sweater off when Adam had his head injury. Yeah. Where you're like, I know what I should do. Definitely disrobe. Like that.
It's like when a man has a mattress on the roof of his car and
I'm going to put my hand out.
Yeah. The Superman thinking.
I'm going to take this piece that just broke into two where I could see the crack, and I'm just going to rest it. Like, that's going to fix. Done. Yeah. But then I was so happy when they told me that it had already been broken, and it was like, oh, we just need a super glue.
Yeah, but what did they tell to that guy? That's what I want to know. Like, what happened to that bozo?
Like, my whole point was, I bet he did that thing where you take it and try to put it on. I know he did that afterwards. And so we need to see the footage, because I guarantee that he did that move.
Right.
Like, it's going to connect again. That delusion.
How old would you say he was? How old?
Oh, what do you think? That seems 28-year-old behavior.
Oh, was it?
You think
I thought
older?
He was younger. Oh. I thought maybe it was like 1920.
Well, 1920
Not that it matters.
Wants to do it, but doesn't do it because he's still like
scared.
He might get in trouble. 24 to 28 is emboldened. There's nobody anymore to get you in trouble, but also there's nobody to get you in trouble anymore.
Ugh.
That is Mount Stupidity. That is the age of, like, you're doing dumb shit. Speaking of dumb shit, here's something I want to do, and I want to know how you think this might be received. Actually, I know how it'll be received, but I want to know. I basically want somebody to tell me that I should do this. So, in Colorado, they do not have a helmet law. This is a state where you can be whatever age.
It's the Darwin Awards,
Holy fuck, is it the Darwin Awards. And we're in, like, the Rocky Mountains, some of the most dangerous roads, and icy, and all the worst conditions you could imagine in this. Rocks everywhere. So much so they named it.
Hence the name.
Right?
Right.
I really want to be at a red light with one of these dumbasses, and I want to roll down the window, and I just want to ask, why aren't you wearing a helmet? What do you think about this? What do you think will happen? What do you think? Is this a waste of my time and energy? Should I be shaming? It feels similar. Oh, by the way, Eli and I got to do a thumbs down to a guy the other day, and it was so satisfying. There's a guy on a motorcycle who, like, we weren't going fast enough for. Meanwhile, we're in a 30 residential area, and he's got to do that thing where he goes like, vroom, vroom, like super loud, and I hate it. You know I'm sensitive to noises. I hate that. So. How do you think I will be received if I pull up next to somebody and tell them or ask them, why aren't you wearing a helmet?
It depends.
I just want to know their actual answer.
Are you wearing a Jenny Kane sweater?
Well, I feel like I will be taken with more, like, authority. Like, I know. Right. How about this? You know how I get BDE when I put my boots on?
Yes.
I get this air of, like, sophistication and entitlement, maybe, when I put on my
You're validated. Thanks to Jenny Kane.
I'm like, do you see my sweater? I know things.
Yeah, I'm wearing cashmere.
Please.
Well,
God, that sweater is amazing.
It's amazing. And if you didn't respond well, it doesn't matter because you're just happy because you're looking great. Jenny Kane has our favorite items in our closet that keep us warm and cozy and looking stylish. And there are forever pieces. That, for me, is what I love about it.
It is. I have said this to Eli because we're right on that border of summer's now turning into fall. And my favorite Jenny Kane item are these shearling lined mock slippers, like they're like clogs, sort of. They're clogs, and they have like the shearling line, and they are so warm and cozy.
But they look cute.
I tried to wear them to Rosh Hashanah holiday services.
That's so cute.
And I was like, Eli, can I wear these? And he was like,
yeah, they're not dressy enough for temple, but
they're not dressy. And I had to step it up a notch. But I am trying so hard. But to dinner that night, and to family dinner, and to
heck
those were the shoes.
Because it's comfort, quality, timelessness. The cashmere fisherman and the cashmere cocoon sweaters are unbelievable.
Yes, and now they have the cropped version.
Yes, I was looking for it. I didn't see it because I got sidetracked and bought something else. Anyway, find your forever pieces at jennykane.com. Our listeners get 15% off their first order when you use code BRAINCANDY at checkout. That's 15% off your first order, JENNIKAYNE.com, promo code BRAINCANDY. Let getting dressed be one less thing to worry about. Ain't that the truth? Okay, wait. So that happened in Pennsylvania where it was the law. The helmet. It was the law, and then it was not, or vice versa. And it was like, how do I feel about this? It's sort of like the hamster wheel crossing the ocean guy. It's like do we need to protect these people from their dumb ass IQ selves?
They are. All it takes is that it's not like they're going to fall. And I think about my brother, who's the firefighter, who then has to deal with the guy who decided to not wear a helmet. And it's a different call when he... Yeah. What do they call them?
Well, I forget the
nurses call them. Yeah.
It's
like... the motorcycles. What's the name?
Organ donate. Something about organ donors and how they're like, their heads are gone, but their bodies can be useful. Because they're all young, you know?
All young. And I remember I dated a guy who was in medical device sales. And, okay, stick with me. This sounds crazy, creepy, but it's true. He sold skin. He sold he was a medical device sales, but he worked with burn victims and in ICU units. And he would be like the
because you could donate your skin.
And he said, I asked him, who is your number one? What do you see the most of? All motorcycle accidents.
See?
That's it. Motorcycle accidents and burns. That's it. And that's what all his business.
The people
and he's like, I would never drive a motorcycle. And so now you're not going to wear a helmet? I'm going to ask.
The people that don't wear it, they say, and I do believe them, that it's uncomfortable and you get sweaty.
You know what else is uncomfortable? Being a paraplegic.
Right. I mean, I obviously get it, but I'm just saying they feel kind of like people worry about masks, which while I agree, I hate wearing masks.
Right.
But it's cost benefit.
Infringes on their
it's uncomfortable.
Whatever.
Yeah. Sarah,
I know you say that and I get it, but seatbelt law. Those are uncomfortable too. We all decided we should do that.
Do masks for real, they don't bother you too much?
No. I love it. I prefer it.
You prefer the mask?
I do. I would like that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Well, you can wear them anytime you want.
Likes to wear earplugs in public, so I wish we could all walk around with noise-canceling headphones, and that would be fine.
She's very sensitive. Okay.
I am. I bought the ones that you could just wear. I was like, Eli, I'm doing it. I'm committed. I'm just going to be like that person. It's too much.
You're going to have great hearing one day then.
I think, I am. I'm going to stick
for
those
real.
in yes.
Okay. No, I just say that because I wore the mask and was the way that you would expect a liberal to be about the mask, but I did not enjoy it.
Oh.
I hated it. I was so glad when it became more of a exception.
I got a couple zits. Let's go back to the mask.
That's so great.
Yeah.
All right. To each their own.
Yeah. Okay, one more story before we wrap up. I have to tell you more animal facts.
Yes,
do I want to tell you about animal facts? Oh, yes. This is kind of like animal. Oh, my God. There are so many good ones. Which one do I want to do? This is, okay, this was an article that was sent by Veto Player, one of our listeners.
Love that guy, yeah.
So many good stories he sent us. So I have to read you what the article says. So the article accompanied a video, the description, like the write-up it accompanied a video, and the video had the visuals and explained more. But let me just read you what I read.
Okay,
so we're all on the same page before I watch the video.
Okay.
Residents of Tanza in the Philippines were puzzled when they discovered a snake that appeared to have 4 legs.
No.
Villagers caught the unusual creature after it attempted to attack a local security guard. The snake, which measured around 12 inches in length, had 4 legs protruding from its midsection, giving it the bizarre appearance of a Brachiosaurus dinosaur. Now, when I first read that, and I was like, did they just say a snake with legs? That's a motherfucking lizard. I didn't see the video, and I was like, did they just try to describe a salamander?
Right.
Did they not hear my episode a little bit ago where I had discovered learned what a salamander was? And I was like, it's a snake with legs? What's happening?
Right, like if they saw a snail and they would be like, that's a seashell with a glob.
Right. And I was like, Philippines, I'm gonna need some more info. So let me show you.
I can't believe that's what you thought though, because I'm just thinking like, I have got to see a snake with 4 legs.
They just described a motherfucking lizard. Like I was like, Philippines, you're trying to pull it over on me.
Good
and
one.
It made me laugh a lot. So I was like, I guess I'll watch the video. And then I took a screenshot from the video so that I could show you so that you could see. And listeners, you will just like have to watch our version of this or Google it.
Watch the video. Oh no. No.
So
okay, what I'm seeing here is a snake that ate a lizard. Oh my God.
So okay. I'm sorry, Kara, zookeeper, move over. Somebody's going to be vying for your job at the zoo because Susie figured out what the people there didn't figure out, that this was a snake that ate a lizard, and then the lizard's little legs popped through its side.
How did they not know?
How did they not? After it said it, and I like the comment said it, and they're like, "Well, this is a snake."
Oh my God.
I was like, What's happening in the schools?
Or maybe they knew, but they were like, maybe.
I think that's it. Kind of like that alien in Mexico.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, right. I was real excited for a minute.
I really love the memes where it'll just be like a gremlin in a shoebox that somebody's like an actual toy gremlin. Like
I found an alien corpse.
Hey, this thing. Huh? So stupid. God. So that picture is worth subscribing to our newsletter just to be able to see.
Okay, but
come on.
How did it go from a picture like that to international news?
And they say it attacked a security guard. I don't think that thing attacked anything.
Maybe the snake did, maybe.
Right, but attacked. The thing is, do you see it on notebook paper, Susie?
Oh.
That's not. Who are we threatening? It barely.
It's on notebook paper. I didn't even realize that.
That's one of those.
Oh my God!
What do they call those books?
Composition.
Composition. That's a composition notebook. That's barely
sure
a
is.
composition notebook. Like. It's
no.
actually the cutest darn snake you ever did see. With some little legs.
I bet he had some
looks
indigestion.
very cute and tiny.
How do you break that down?
It's dead. And then they're like flicking it around like it's really going to do something.
Oh, the snake is dead?
Yes, that's dead.
It's
dead.
That.
It's not even alive.
Okay.
Right. The other things that you think they would put in the article, the write-up for the video. But I guess I clicked the video and I watched it. And so, like, you know, I don't know. Somehow Jeff Bezos made money.
I think this is silly.
I get it. But no, it's a great story. I loved every minute. Story. It was a real roller coaster
I'm glad he
ride.
sent it. I'm just saying, like, can you believe?
Can you believe?
Also, can you believe how awesome Honey Love leggings are?
I absolutely can. And I should have. I will do a video because I have a clothing hack.
What?
That Honey Love bra is the best for. So,
okay.
Do you see all those? There's like girls who look super cute out there who like look like they have a cropped shirt, but it's kind of like a long shirt, but it's like tucked under into like something like question mark. Like, what the hell is she tucking it into? Like, how does the shirt? Is it cinched? I don't know. So when I went to Rosh Hashanah services, I wore my long dress, and then over my dress, hear me out, I put my Honey Love sports bra that was real tight. And then I put my sweater over that. And then I tucked the sweater into the Honey Love bra. I will take a video of this to show you.
I can't believe what you come up with.
Such a cute hack. And then underneath my dress, I was wearing the shapewear because I knew it was going to be sweaty sitting those tents all day. And I didn't want those legs rubbing together and having that chafing problem. So I was wearing Honey Love, but in like a
head to toe.
Head to toe, but in an alternative way. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I should do a video, but then we were like running late, and Eli's like, we're always 45 minutes late to services. I'm like, I gotta go. And so I didn't have to do it, but it's the best trick. It's how you get that cute cropped look. And the Honey Love doesn't like cut into you, so it's super comfortable.
Here's me. I'm just like, I guess I'll try a different belt today. Like, I don't think of these things. I'm not
It's the trick. I will show you how to do it. I'll make a reel. You guys are going to be so happy. And it solves all your problems because it's like racerback or crossback or like it's that bra does it all.
It's so cute. It's their bestseller crossover bra. It's comfortable and it's designed to you know that bulge in the back?
Yes, I do.
Happens. They are wanting to smooth that, so they designed it that way to prevent that bra bulge and all that jazz. It's so great for workouts. I love the leggings also. Treat yourself to the best shapewear on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/braincandy. Use our exclusive link to get 20% off. honeylove.com/braincandy. Cinched, snatched, and lifted. It's hot girl season thanks to Honey Love. Yes. And now I'm going to introduce our author, J. Reuben Appelman. He's the author of The Kill Jar. And this book is called While Idaho Slept, The Hunt for Answers in the Murders of 4 College Students. So I don't know if you followed it too much, but this was a crime that was very much sort of influenced by the TikTok armchair detective phenomenon. And so people would deduce things from the most smallest of details and like extrapolate and theorize and clickbait. And then people's lives would be ruined who had nothing to do with it, but it was like, ooh, that guy looks creepy. Who's that? On some camera footage or whatever. And it's just made me crazy. So that was one of the things I wanted to cover with him, was like how the public now is being, they think of themselves as like helpful. They're trying to be helpful, I guess, but it's not okay.
No.
And this case really was affected by that. Oh my gosh. And then the police had to, and the investigators had to like withhold information that normally they would share, even from the victims' families, because if it got shared, then these people would run with it and they would mess up the whole investigation. And the truth is, this was solved, assuming that the alleged guy is the guy, by good old-fashioned sleuthing, police work, detective work. It wasn't solved by some weirdo on TikTok who thinks they have the answer. But
like happened one time and then we're like, oh, that's definitely how it, like, no, that's like a broken clock is right twice a day kind of thing.
Yes.
Let the professionals do their job.
Let them do their job. You get it. Anyway, you'll love the interview. You'll love the book. It comes out on October 2nd, so next Tuesday. Mm-hmm. And that's all. Welcome to the show, J. Reuben Appelman. Thank you so much for coming on Brain Candy Podcast. I just finished your book, While Idaho Slept, The Hunt for Answers in the Murders of 4 College Students. I'm stunned at how much you were able to accomplish so fast in terms of creating this book and the narrative. Tell me about that. Was it overwhelming?
Overwhelming, yeah, and not in the workload, but in the sort of the deep dive into the emotional world of it all. To do it so fast. I was working probably 12-hour days for 5 months or something like that, and I actually got a separate office space, lived out of it half the time, just because I knew the immersion process was going to be pretty intense. And the emotional impact of it, without giving yourself room to breathe between dives, right? Just back to back, was pretty intensive. And I spent about a month after finishing the book just kind of walking around, airing out, so to speak.
Right. I can see why. And it was so effective. I mean, I'm sure it took its toll, but what the work that you did was so effective because you successfully humanized these people that had somewhat become, I don't know, flattened. I felt in like the social media noise. And so I really felt like I got to know the victims and their families, and you must be really proud of that. That is so impressive.
Well, yeah, I don't know. The word proud is a tough one. I understand what you're saying for sure. At the end of the day, I wrote about people who had been brutally murdered, and I'm sort of at a very basic level, like a tourist in that somehow. And that feels it feels slightly dirty, but at the same time, I realized that I came to it with a big heart and an open mind in order to tell a story that hopefully would resonate with people, and like you say, humanize these people. They're not just poster board for our media. They're not just sort of like splashy pop culture zines that we're throwing around. I mean, these are people who were brutally assaulted. There's a story there that had to be told, and hopefully I told it with the right. Rooted in the right spaces, and we have a tendency with true crime, especially. I mean, you know this, to sort of we treat it like any other story. It's like, oh, there's a story, we run to get the story, but that's not really what's going on here. This isn't just like a bridge went out, or this isn't. This is a horrific thing that the media is chasing after, and I know I'm a part of that. I hope that I bring a certain measure of grace to it when I do it. And so the proud thing, I totally get what you're saying. It never occurs to me to be proud of this type of work. All that occurs to me is to tell the most honest, truthful thing I can about these people. And that means digging deeply into them. It also means digging deeply into the alleged perpetrator and things like that. We have a tendency to just say the word creepy and throw it up against people's pictures. We know nothing about them. We freeze frame on a still of them in court looking weird. Everybody looks weird in court. I go to court.
So true.
I've been to court for like sitting in the, whatever you call the pews, not the pews, but the rows there. And I feel creepy. It's intense.
It's not a natural environment, right?
Yeah. So even with the alleged perpetrator, any suspect, hopefully I treat them with a measure of grace. I'm not in this game to like skewer anybody. I'm just trying to tell a story.
Right. And I just feel like it's so important to differentiate between, there's a big umbrella if you're going to just say the media or reporting or whatever, because now that includes some bozo that just, there's a lot of people that are quote unquote reporting on social media that are not like you. And I feel like good reporting requires time and depth that you just can't get whenever you're just creating a TikTok for a new following that you want or something. It's just different, right?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. There were a lot of people that I ran into up there in Moscow. It's a 5-hour drive from where I'm actually based in Boise, south of Moscow, about 5.5 hours, and I went up there several times, and each time I was up there, there were sort of random people with walking around the what they call the murder house now with their cell phones taking footage, and that's to be expected. A lot of them, though, have a pretty decent sized following, but they have no investigative acumen, or they have no experience in covering sensitive stories, let's say. They're just up there chasing down clicks, and that can be frustrating, for sure. There are other people that do a really good job, and that's kind of cool to see. I mean, there are people that, you have a podcast, and you do a really great job of it. And you're in that world, and you see there's occasionally people that are like, yeah, there's no difference between you and a national correspondent for some other thing. And that's kind of cool to see. But
yeah, there is an upside that more people perhaps get a chance to demonstrate their talent and ability to reach people with a story. But the downside is that if people aren't discerning, they don't know how to tell what's credible and what's not. And that puts a lot of pressure on the casual, someone just going on their phone to escape, right?
Yeah. And as you see what happened with this case, there were so many people, we call them cyber sleuthing or armchair investigators, or whatever the word for that would be, for people who actually go out to the beat and chase down the story, but without much intuitive nature or whatever about them. But a lot of people got accused of these crimes based on some of these.
Right. I'm mad about it.
False reporting. Yeah, you should be.
like you're ruining people's lives just for funsies. Tell me how you are not mad. Are you mad? It fires me up.
Yeah, just for funsies. That really is what it is. There were people doing TikTok dances in front of the murder house.
I can't. It's infuriating.
It's ridiculous. But yeah, I can count right now probably 10 different podcasters or online personalities, TikTokers or YouTubers or whatever, that falsely reported things with false headlines attached to their content, which was clearly, saying things like, Kaylee's stalker showed up, ? Or something like that.
Right.
And so you look at that and you go, oh, Kaylee's stalker showed up. That's what any viewer would say. But somewhere in their content, they dropped the line. Is it possible that Kaylee had a stalker and he showed up?
Right.
That becomes the headline, and people only skim content now for many people, and so they see these headlines. And in the case of I shouldn't name them. I won't name them because it'll just add more fuel to the fire. But in the case of some of these people who were suspected of the crimes, their names were in the headlines of content from podcasters. And so those headlines will never go away the more clicks they get, right?
I hate it.
So these people are living with the accusation against them. Every time you Google these people for a job interview or whatever, if you're Googling to see who's coming into your office or whatever it is, this content is always going to show up for them. They're going to have to change their names. They're going to have to, in some instances, they're going to be like, I'm a little tired of this. I think they're going to relocate, right? It's like, it's chaos. So,
yeah.
It's not great.
I mean, I don't think it's okay, but I do understand what inspires it, because you can make a lot of money, online. And the best way to do that is with these, extreme clickbaity type things. I get it.
Yeah.
But
it makes sense. People are trying to eat. One thing I don't discuss in super depth in the book, but I've had many discussions about it, is that after these horrific crimes, there's a whole economy that pops up around them, that flourishes. There are, and not all of it is necessarily bad, but in the case of the Moscow murders, within days, dozens of media personalities are swarming Moscow. That's a sort of a way of money circulating right through the media companies. Then the YouTubers, podcasters. Then there are GoFundMes being started, and then Then there are donations being made. Then there are state government, is dropping $1 million to the University of Idaho. What I'm suggesting is not that it's all bad, but that a quadruple homicide occurs, and within a month, tens of millions of dollars circulate around this horrible event. And there's something societally interesting about that. There's like the economy of murder, let's call it, or whatever. It's like it's really interesting. I mean, journalists, let's say me, like I wrote a book about this case, right? Of course I got paid to write the book. Now I didn't get paid any more than any other journalist that dedicates a year of their life to a story, right? Like if you're working for the New York Times, you get paid. You're on salary and you get paid. The only way to do something like that is to get paid. Otherwise you're starving, you're homeless, and you have no money, and you can't go take the time to write the book, right?
Right.
So, but even that alone, there's a certain measure of guilt that is carried with that. It's like, and societal projection of their own uneasiness about that as well. Like, I might be looked at as somebody who profited off of this, but in reality, I just paid my bills while I wrote a book, right? And news reporters look like they're pariahs, but people want the story. We want to know what happens. So in some ways we need to welcome media. We need to welcome podcasters, but there's this unethical line that many people cross, right? And it's very clear. They wear it on their skin. They don't care about the stampede or what they're crashing over in their stampede for the story. You can see that in people's eyes. And I saw that in some of the podcasters that showed up, or the YouTubers. And in some of the mainstream media, but not in most of it. Most people approach it like, look, this is an honest day's work. Somebody needs to tell this story. And most people are ethical and have big hearts and understanding. Yeah. Nobody wants to feel what these families are feeling. And they're very sensitive to that. I found most people were pretty sensitive. So
yeah. And I think it's an important story to report on and to tell and to understand. Just the elements of human psychology, what can lead someone to do something terrible, etc. So the story should be told, but I just want to encourage consumers, the viewers of whatever, to vote with their eyeballs on, what's valuable resource and what is just entertainment about death.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But you know what? It's funny, not funny, but interesting to me in the book. The part that really struck me were the passages about the alleged murderer's sort of struggles with his mental health and some issues he was dealing with physically. And he talked about what it was called, visual snow syndrome.
Yeah. Correct.
Which I'd never heard of. And it's sort of framed as a visual issue, but it seems like the worst symptoms really were about what happened in his mind and how he felt changed emotionally. Anyway, he was talking about how he felt this depersonalization, like this distance from reality, almost like he was sort of observing and wondering about the world without being engaged. And sometimes it feels like the people watching the content are experiencing the same depersonalization, like a lack of understanding that this is real. These are real people. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I hear 100%. I agree with you 100%. In terms of the suspect, he suffered allegedly. I mean, according to him, anyway, he suffers from visual snow. And imagine like the days when you have a bad headache, or when you're dehydrated, or you're a little hungover. I don't drink anymore, but I remember those days pretty well. And you're walking through the streets with just a little brain fog, right? And you just can't connect. Well, visual snow is like this static, this thing going on in your head all the time in front of your eyes. And you're seeing like when somebody trails their hand and they wave at you, you still see the trail behind them, like it's in slow-mo or whatever you would call that cinematically, like the actual trail of the image drags behind the image. Now, it's not slow-mo, but something else. But but that happens allegedly with Brian Koberger, and or at least it did pretty heavily when he was a little younger. And imagine the detachment you feel from the world just with your dehydration or whatever. You just need water, and imagine walking around with that every day of your life. How detached you eventually feel. There's no true connection to be able to be made. Somebody tells you I love you, and you say, yeah, intellectually I can understand I love you too, but right now I just need a glass of water. Like that's what you're feeling, right? And when you're dehydrated, imagine that all the time, and how difficult that would be to make true connections with that. And then how do you socialize with that going on? How do you integrate into a workplace? If that's actually happening with him as a younger person, it's very clear that would cause severe mental trauma and societal issues ongoing. But obviously, it doesn't excuse what the actions, right? If sure. if those are the actions he took. But to segue real quick to what you talked about with society looking in on these murders and the detachment, desensitivity. Like in some ways, maybe if we're spiritually ungrounded, we're drowning in media clips and Instagram posts and false ideas of what we should do with our lives. And there's no spiritual grounding. I'm not talking about religion or anything. I'm talking about just connecting to the universe. Mm-hmm. And we're walking around like that. We see just another series of murders. Yeah. It doesn't feel like much to most people. It takes a conscious practice of tuning in spiritually and mentally to really understand what's going on when you see all this stuff in the media. And we just look at it, unfortunately, like another story, because how can we not, when there's 1,000 stories hitting us in the face every day?
Mm-hmm. When he posted about it, he seemed to be seeking help. He didn't want to feel that way. And I just was surprised to be reading that. I hadn't heard that he experienced that. And it felt sincere that he didn't like what was happening and that there had been a shift. And I don't know, I guess I just feel like it's a shame that there wasn't an intervention there that could have changed the path possibly for him. I don't know. It just broke my heart.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking. I mean, on the one hand, we have a criminal justice system in place because there are really violent people in the world and we need to figure out what to do with them. But on the other hand, all of these really violent people started as children. I talk about it all the time. These were just 2 and 3-year-old kids walking around in their pajamas waiting for snack time. I say that all the time. And none of them hoped and dreamed for their lives that they would grow up with a diseased brain and go on to murder people. That's not how we start our lives. And clearly there's greater happiness on the side of good than evil. And those people would choose to be good if they could have earlier. There's not a whole lot of people in the criminal justice system that are really happy about where they are. Mm-hmm. And that's a little heartbreaking. The story is much bigger always than what happened on this day. It's always what happened 20 years before this day. How did this happen? How did this really happen? Not who done it, but how did this happen, for God's sake?
Yes, that's exactly right. And that's why I was so grateful when I was reading your book, because that's what is interesting to me. The crime I'm not interested in, but why it happened and what can cause a human being to act that way. I mean, that was really compelling to read about, and you did it so well. I wondered why. I mean, this is a dude, regardless of whether he did it or not, that I wouldn't want to hang out with based on what I've read. He sounded like he wasn't a big fan of women. He was sort of strange and argumentative and kind of a dick. But I wondered, he had made so much progress, right? He had changed his life. He was in a PhD program. Things were looking up, but he couldn't go all the way. Is that your sense, that he just couldn't get there?
Yeah. Well, my sense about Brian Koberger from what I've read and from the people that I've talked to and from reports that, are ongoing, is, yeah, like you say, he's a dick. But so are 50% of men in the world.
There's a lot of dicks.
Yeah, that's my take. And it doesn't make you a murderer. However, I definitely think that from what I understand about Bryan Kohberger, he, like any person suffering from, let's say, addiction or trauma-related pasts of any kind, bad behavior that's cyclical in their lives, I think he did really good for a long time. And at the end of the day, we are who we are. Lots of times, and it's a struggle to evolve from that. So just like an addict who gets sober for 3 years and then goes back into a bar, it's kind of like that. It felt like for me, for Kohberger, like he did really well. He got his act together. He kicked heroin. He got into great physical shape. He was running at a really high rate. Reports are that his mile time over a consistent, like a 5 mile run or whatever, is like in the six minute something range, which is a great range for someone who's not a, professional runner or whatever, doing 6 minute miles, you're running pretty hard and fast. And, he was in great shape, and, and he was entering a PhD program, and he had his sights set on law enforcement. People say, yeah, well, he probably had his sights set on law enforcement so he could get away with murders throughout his life. Maybe, but at the same time, it takes a lot to get into a PhD program. You don't have to be a genius, but it does take hard work, and he looked like he was doing really well. But look, if you're fighting serious demons, it's not always that easy to stay on the right path, and anything can set you off. I mean, I haven't drank in 13 years. I probably won't drink ever again in my life. I claim that I'm waiting for the right woman, and I'll drink when that happens. But that's really just a joke. The reality is, I don't like alcohol. What it does to my brain, right? And Kohberger probably seems to like somebody like that, where he's like, I don't like that part of my life. I'm going to stay away from it. But in the right circumstances, most people can be broken somehow. And maybe he was dealing with so much rage and embarrassment and shame. I think a lot of this is shame and anger driven, and something set him off, and he spun out. Even serial killers will tell you, yeah, I didn't kill for 15 years because I was able to fight it. If you're a murderer, it doesn't mean you murder every day or have to. He went through a spell where he took care of himself. He did the right things. And then he went through a spell where he didn't. And this appears to be what happened. I'm not saying, look, he hasn't been convicted in court of law, but based on everything we know, this is what appears to have happened.
Right. Here's what I want to know. You left a little something in that book that I wanted a lot more of, but I assume you didn't include more because we just don't know more, which is very responsible, and I like that. But what is the story, allegedly, about? Did you say that he slid into DMs?
Well,
was there a DM slide that happened?
Well, it's been reported that there was, that he, so all I could say, and this is the thing about the book, a lot of this is like, look, this is what has been said.
Yeah, you're connecting the dots.
Yeah, it appears that he did, but until that is brought out in court, nobody will know for sure.
Story.
And because of the gag order on this case, and because of the sensitive nature of it, they're not releasing all the information that they have. In court, we will find out probably, did he DM these people? It appears that he did. I mean, there are investigators close to the case who reported that he did. They reported that they said that to reporters when they shouldn't have. Those reporters then disseminated that information and put it out there. Is that true? I mean, until somebody puts Bryan Kohberger on the stand and confronts him with these DMs, we don't know. But hopefully it's clear in the book that like some of those things I skirt around because I just can't say if he did or didn't. I can only tell you what people said.
Yeah. I find that very interesting and consistent with other parts that we do know of what maybe was bothering him or motivating his behavior at that time.
Yeah,
Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, and just that those DMs though were reported to be pretty benign, like, hey, how are you doing? And then they don't answer. So then
we all know those guys though.
Yeah. I know those guys. I get those guys too, actually.
Right. They really don't have like a good line or whatever, so they just say something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So after the crime, you talk about how he seemed to have more pep in his step. If you were to assume that he is guilty, what do you think it would have been about that incident or the crime that would have been so, I don't know, shifting of his behavior?
Yeah. Well, on the one hand, it was also reported simultaneously that in certain moments, he also looked more disheveled and was a little more crazy feeling. He was always late and stuff. And that could just be dealing with the reality of evasion, or maybe he's up all night reading the reports about him, or about looking for suspects right. before anybody knew it was him. But the other thing, the pep in the step. I mean, it's pretty widely acknowledged that there's like for people who have the compulsion to murder, that there's a feeling of release. Like there's I'm not saying it's like sexual in nature, but for some people it is. For some murderers it is. But that feeling you get after, not to be too graphic for your audience, but that it appears with some people anyway, that it's like they had a good night and they feel great and they're on cloud 9 the next morning. Let's say it like that.
Sure. Tension was relieved.
Yes. And that's what it seemed like. To some people that I report on, right? I mean, I wasn't there. I didn't go to school with him, right. but that is what some of the students said. That their instructor and peer in some instances was much more lighthearted and easygoing, and graded them easier. Didn't care what they're returning in. Gave everybody A's. Seemed pretty happy. And was much more friendly to be around in the days after the murders. And I think it's after that he started to become more disheveled, if I'm remembering right. And that makes sense. I mean, I think it's The Telltale Heart. I can't remember the story by Poe. I could be remembering it wrong, so forgive me, but somebody commits a murder and then their heartbeat is so loud they can't live with it anymore. Like it becomes louder and louder, or they lock somebody behind a brick wall. I can't remember the story exactly, but anyway, you get the point. Is that living with your conscience and living with the constant reporting online that he must have been reviewing constantly himself. Yeah. I'm sure it took a physical toll on him. He started to look a little crazier. But yeah, in terms of the grading, he was perceived as an asshole, but in his grading, and then after the murders, he was perceived as the easiest grader they'd ever had. He was just grading everything.
Right. There was a marked change from within the semester.
Yeah. On the other hand, we have to piece it together a little bit. We also know that he was being reprimanded by upper faculty for complaints against him. So it's also very possible that he was grading easier because he was trying to curry favor with his students and get better reviews. I mean, professors do that all the time. I was a professor for 10 years. I know lots of people who have complained that the reviews can tank your career.
Truly.
And any student with a grudge can get online, send an email, and tank your career by complaining about something they made up or whatever. Mm-hmm. But and many professors feel really strongly that they have to get their students on their side in order to get tenure or whatever. And it could be that he was doing that, that he was just grading easy for that. But the situation doesn't look like that. It looks like he felt better in the days after the murders.
He's a guy who supposedly felt like he was real smart and liked talking about it. And was clearly smart enough to get in this program. I think a lot of people will wonder how somebody that's going to be or is an expert in criminology could be that bad at committing a crime. Don't you think?
You have a PhD, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. I think, most people in most programs, or PhD programs, are pretty smart to get there, but it doesn't mean that they're necessarily brilliant, or that you want to roll around with them in your everyday life, or that
right.
And
they're usually quirky.
Definitely quirky, and some are very young when they do it, though. Like, we're talking about people that are 24, 25 in PhD programs. It's not the same as somebody going in their 30s or whatever. Some of these people are real inexperienced at life, but are just intellectual. And it seems, though, that Bryan Kohberger was not the sharpest tool in the shed ever, that he managed to get into PhD programs, into the PhD program, probably because it was his area of interest. But if anything else, he might not have been super accelerated. Like, it doesn't seem like he was a straight A student. It doesn't seem like he was throughout his history, right? If you find something you're passionate about, you can excel in it, but it doesn't mean you're super bright. Like I'm a good writer, but it's probably because I can't do anything else. And so you focus on the one thing you can do, right? And so it doesn't mean that I can hang with Pulitzer Prize winners or Nobel Peace Prize winners and figure out the universe. If I commit a crime, I'm liable to make slip ups as well. Like, it's being bright doesn't mean that you're gonna outdo the odds. And it seems like Kohberger wasn't. I mean, he made a lot of mistakes for someone in a PhD program in criminology, for sure. If he's the guy,
sure,
right?
If he's the guy.
But also, I think the interesting thing is his survey that he posted on Reddit, asking criminals, how were you at the moment of your crime? How did you plan it? How did you think you would get away with it, or whatever the questions were? A lot of that has to do with. It seems like he was trying to figure out what was the emotional and physiological state they would be in at the time of the crime. And that changes a lot of things. Adrenaline makes you do all kinds of things stupidly.
Right.
Some people freeze in it with adrenaline. Some people go crazy with adrenaline.
Right.
I when somebody scares me, I start punching, right?
That's good to know.
Yeah, don't walk around. I mean, but if I see something happen on the street, like an accident, I freeze. So my adrenaline response is really different under different situations. And that could be what happened with him. He just wasn't thinking clearly. He might not have even planned it that night. It might have been something that, he might have driven around their house a dozen times before. And maybe this night he just said, I'm doing it. And he didn't give it the forethought that he should have, maybe. I mean, we don't know, and we don't even know it was him, right, until he's convicted. But all of this is speculative based on what we think happened. But
right. Okay. I've already kept you too long because I could talk about this all day. Your book is fantastic, and I love a book that you think about long after, and then you think of more ideas, and it's so great. You did such a good job. Oh, so I will wrap it up, but I don't know. Did you feel like this was the best time, or did you think maybe I should wait till after the trial, or what was the logic for you?
That's interesting. Stacy Chapin, Ethan Chapin's mother, said that they're not going to the trial. They don't care what happens with the trial. That's not their focus. Their focus is their son has been taken from them. And similarly, my focus was not on whether or not the proceedings of the trial end in a guilty finding of Bryan Kohberger. That's not really relevant to me. What's relevant to me is that these people were sort of ripped from the earth. They had big, beautiful lives ahead of them. They're reminiscent of everybody that we, or many people that we know and love in our lives. And the story was was that so much. It's much more than whether or not somebody is found guilty. Somebody I know had told me years ago when I was writing my first book, The Kill Jar, he had said, what's so interesting about, and he's a defense lawyer for big cases, and he said what's so interesting about these crimes is that nothing ends with the verdict. The residue of these crimes linger in our communities. They linger for generations among the loved ones' families. And to me, that's the story. It's not so much, is somebody going to get 25 years or life or the death penalty thing? It's like, it's what happens before the court case. Somebody else will do a book after the court case, no doubt. But to me, that wasn't the focus, because I'm really more concerned about what communities feel after, how people live with the visitation of violence in their lives, things like that. It's,
Well, you did a wonderful job. It was so, I cried a little bit. It was emotional because you did such a good job making these people come to life. And you did feel like you know them, or people like that, and their families love them a lot. Yeah. So well done. Congratulations to you. We have one question we ask everybody. It sounds weird after we talked about murder though, but the question is, what do you keep in the trunk of your car?
In the trunk of my car, I have an SUV, so it's less of a trunk than it is backspace. But right. I have this will be interesting too. It is in line with the true crime conversation, though. In the trunk of my car, I have a Louisville Slugger baseball bat. I have a wooden set of nunchucks that my brother gave me. I have a knife that is a fold up, like sort of pocket knife, but a little bit longer. I have a black go bag full of heating, those silver warmth blankets, power bars.
You're very prepared.
Water bottles. Well, I live in Idaho, and there are many. And I also have a sleeping bag. So there are many instances where we'll just go up into the mountains impromptu, like, hey, let's go to the mountains. They don't have to worry about all that stuff. It's all in there.
You're good to go. Is the bat for sporting or self-defense?
The bat is for self-defense.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I have a black belt in Taekwondo. I studied Taekwondo for 10 years, but I'd much rather, in a situation that where somebody is attacking me, have a baseball bat in my hand than my own fist. But
yeah, okay, you're ready.
But I live in a world where this stuff is always on your mind, and so it's like, I'm not the calmest person in terms of like accepting that violence might occur or something. I'm pretty prepared for situations.
That's good. I'm telling you what, after I read your book, I feel like I need to be prepared, because it does make you think. It gets in your head. I can see why you were drained after 5 months.
Yeah. And the baseball bat, in fairness, is in the back of my car. I'm not driving with it next to my
Right. You have to take a minute before you use it.
Yes.
That's good. Very discerning. Well, thank you so much. It was so nice to talk to you, but even more so, it was wonderful to read your book. And I hope all of our listeners check it out. And I got to read your other one, the
Kill Jar.
Kill Jar.
Kill Jar. It's actually a TV show. There's a TV show.
Where have we been?
I don't know. It's the TV show is Children of the Snow. You might have even seen it without knowing, because it's not the same name as my book.
Right. Well, congratulations. You're doing the Lord's work, and it was so nice to talk to you.
You're doing the Lord's work. I love you guys. It's great.
We just have fun. That's all we're doing.
Well,
thank you.
Anytime.
All right. You're off the hook.